Guests of the Rick and Dan Show run screaming like school children from the podcast after the recording session with lovely parting gifts from our exclusive sponsor.
Coffee Hound Coffee Company. Wander, explore, caffeinate, coffeehoundcoffeeco.com.
That's why we have the product here in the studio, so Dan can look over and see, am I saying the right words?
Yeah, I think I need better glasses, or it just needs to be in front of me.
Or more caffeine.
But I got it right.
Wander, explore, caffeinate. Coffee Hound Coffee Company. What's the website again?
Coffeehoundcoffeeco.com.
He's Rick Tyler. And he's Dan Cashman.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
And I'm Mitchell Smith.
And we're on the Rick and Dan Show.
In Maine, we often hear,
You can't get there from here.
these are the stories of the risk takers.
The trailblazers.
Those who turn obstacles into opportunities
every day and found their way.
to get there from here.
And today,
There on the Rick and Dan Show.
Confession, I too once dressed up like Peter Criss of the band Kiss for Halloween. And my best friend growing up in high school was Ace Frehley. You guys did the same?
Yeah.
Well, he made me do it all the time.
Not just Halloween?
Every night.
Just a regular Sunday morning.
Honest to God, I shouldn't even be admitting this, but we lived in Washburn for 1 year. We moved from Prescott to Washburn. I was in fourth grade. And that was right when Ace Frehley's solo album came out, New York Groove.
Back in the New York Groove.
And I learned how to sign his signature. and for some reason, I don't know why, but I signed it on one of the papers I turned into the teacher, and she called me Ace. So then I figured it was all right to do it. So the rest of the year, I signed Ace to everything.
Did you dress up and go stand in front of like Sperry's IGA and try to sell copies or something?
Oh, I've dressed up a few times like that.
So the embarrassing thing, though, is we did this when we were like, 7 and 10 years old. I kind of outgrew it, but once I was in high school, he was still dressing up as Paul Stanley.
Have you seen him in concert?
Oh, yeah, we've seen him a bunch of times.
Never missed one.
When they were here in Bangor at the waterfront, did you go?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mitchell's the last comment Mitchell made to me, like, Tyler, he goes, when they start coming out with wheelchairs and stuff, we got to call it a day.
But you're not. Before you were doing Greenway, before that, 1994, right? Before that, Carl Smith Foods?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was our...
It's audio. You just can't, there's no video. You can't just nod your head.
I was just thinking of the dates.
Yeah.
But we grew up in the food business.
That's where our family was in. It was a food wholesale business, Carl Smith Foods, which started in Prescott and then eventually moved to the Bangor area. And then we worked there through high school and college. And I personally worked there all through college. And then, but our family sold that business back in, I think we were freshmen or so, but my father stayed on and ran it as Carl Smith Foods, and so that was kind of where we were. I was heading. I was the sales manager there when I graduated college down at USM. I came back.
What were you doing at the time?
I was my senior year in 1994. I graduated in 1994, and this opportunity came up about a equipment business in Ellsworth that was for sale. And we come from both sides of our family, a lot of farmers, potato farmers. So we were familiar with John Deere and John Deere name, and we had John Deere lawn tractor growing up. So we heard about that opportunity.
We were looking for, my father in particular was looking for, to get back into a small business, something and that the three of us could do. And so we looked at a lot of businesses, and then when someone presented Greenway equipment to us, we went down and looked at it.
Dad was looking for something for the three of you to do.
Yeah.
Were you looking for something for the three of you to do with Dad again?
Yeah, we all wanted to get back into our family business, wanted to own something. So we did. We kind of just wanted to look at a lot of different businesses. And I honestly, personally, was probably happy where I was going. I graduated college, and I'd worked in that food business, and I worked for the company that owned Carl Smith Foods, and was kind of on my way. So after it was all said and done, I kind of had come to the feeling that maybe this wasn't going to happen, and this is where I was going to go. But when the opportunity arose, we were ready to do it.
What was the span of time between the end of Carl Smith Foods, or your ownership of it, and the purchase of Greenway?
I think, if I remember right, I think we sold the business, in maybe 84.
No, 87.
87? Was it 87? Okay, you sold the business in 87, and then we stayed on. The family stayed on, and And then we bought Greenway in 1994.
So the transition going from ownership to staying on to back to ownership, that's a 7-year curve. But in a nutshell, how did you navigate those waters? Did it feel weird to have somebody telling you what to do all of a sudden?
Well, yeah.
You guys are married, right? So just saying. Personal experience.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah, it wasn't, again, during that Carl Smith Foods era, we were high school, college, worked there part-time, really worked for the management that was there. So we didn't really answer, so to speak, to anybody else but, the people that were there.
Right.
So it wasn't until I got moved along a little bit in the food business, I started doing the purchasing, and I became a sales manager. And then all of a sudden I was going to, the company that owned us was out of Canada, actually. So at that point I was going to Canada to their other branches, and then was answering to somebody else. So we missed the autonomy. We missed, I guess, being our own boss, and just wanted to do something.
Well, growing up in the business, we were kids, basically, and if we weren't involved in school or athletics, we had to work. And since we were really, really young, since we were 12 years old, we were working Saturdays and nights after school. So we always had supervisors, and we always had the pressure. One thing, our dad, he didn't want to show favoritism, so we were expected to work hard and work harder than some of our peers, didn't want to show any favoritism.
Totally can see that. Did you know that extra sense of pressure at the time, or was it just sort of inherent in you that this is how you work?
Well, I think the hard work was definitely advantageous now looking back, not at the time when you're laying there on a Saturday morning and I hope my dad went to work, and all of a sudden the door would open up at 6:30 and all your friends are at home sleeping and get up, it's time to go to work. That happened pretty much every Saturday.
I think we felt this, I think being in a family business, you feel a sense of duty to want to help.
Yeah, but there are child labor laws.
They didn't.
They don't apply.
Not in Aroostook County.
No, they didn't exist back
Well, I
in
think
the day.
for family businesses, they're exempt, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, Rick probably knows. We grew up in Prescal, and I get out for harvest, 6th grade. And so instead of the potato field, I went to the warehouse. And so, it's kind of just what we did.
You didn't have to watch the potato picker special on WAGM because you always knew you were going on time.
That's right. But I do remember that show, absolutely.
Lifelong dream. Someday I'll get to host the potato picker special. Dan, it could be the two of us on AGM.
Sure. Let's do it.
You have to get up really early.
That's fine.
Really?
I have no problem with that.
You bought Greenway Ellsworth 1994.
Yeah.
Where was the vision of making Greenway and Ellsworth and Bangor business? Where'd that come from?
Well, so here we are, a couple of 20-year-old kids, and fathers helping us. We're getting in the business together, and John Deere's looking at the two of us thinking, I don't know, because
we're John Deere. We know green, and you guys look really green.
Yeah, and it was a small business, and really from a financial point of view, it really was not going to support three, and it was barely going to support Mitch and I. Yeah. But we weren't married. We didn't have houses. We didn't have cars. We didn't have a lot of bills. So we were able to go in there and roll up our sleeves and not take a lot of income out of the business. But what we liked was, in talking to John Deere, they told us that they would like to have a dealer eventually in the greater Bangor area. And there was a dealer in Newport. There was a dealer in Milo. There was a dealer in Lincoln at the time.
And there was a dealer in Bangor in the 70s and 80s, ML Coffin on Broadway. And they went out of business or closed down the business, and so there was a void there.
So we moved to Bangor. We went to Brewer High School, both of us Brewer grads. Moved down when I was in 8th grade. So we really lived most of our life in the Bangor Brewer area. So when we heard that they wanted a dealership in the greater Bangor area, we thought, hey, that's a great opportunity, because we felt everybody comes to the greater Bangor area to shop.
Did you hear this year one?
We did year one. But I'll tell you, we learned a good lesson. When it was all said and done, we told Deere, we asked them if we could have the opportunity to go to Bangor.
This is before we bought the business.
Yeah, because other John Deere dealers were still in business, and we wanted the rights to the market. So John Deere says, I'll tell you what, we give you the rights to the market, but you got to go. And so within 1 year of not knowing anything about the business, new owners, we're trying to learn the ropes, and then all of a sudden we're faced with opening up another dealership in the greater Bangor area. So those were kind of trying times.
Wow.
Who was scared? Who was the brave one?
I think we were both kind of too young to to be scared. Looking back, they were tough times. I mean, we didn't make a lot of money. Matter of fact, I got tired of living with roommates, and I bought this old house on Pine Street. It was an apartment house, actually, and it was condemned, or they shut it down. It was all boarded up, and a guy told me about it because the only way I could afford to have my own place is to turn it into a duplex. So I bought it for $18,000, and I think my dad was going to have a heart attack when I showed him what I was going to do. So, we weren't making a lot of money, and I actually qualified for Main State housing at the time because of the level of income that we were making. And funny story, when we talk about interest rates today, I think at the time, this was back in like 96 or 97, interest rates were like 9-10%, and I qualified for 6.5%, and I was laughing all the way to the bank, on a 30-year mortgage. But that's considered high, I think, today's standards. But yeah, that's what I did, roll up the sleeves and renovated it, and I still own it to this day, and that helped me subsidize my cost of living.
My favorite memory back then is we just started in the business, and we bought that business. Through the purchase of the business, we bought 2 pickups with it. One pickup had 150,000 miles on it, and the other one had 180,000 miles on it. 6 months, we lost the engine in one and lost the transmission in the other one. Oh. And we figured out that the one with the engine was a better shape, so we fixed that thing up, and Mitch and I carpooled together for 6 months.
Well, we had a little pickup truck at the same time, and we had a salesperson that lived in Levant that commuted. So for like 2 weeks, all three of us were riding this little Nissan pickup truck back and forth from Bangor to Ellsworth.
You said you were too young to be scared. Were you old enough to know the risks?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got a good education on the risks the first year after the bank came to look at how we were doing.
and at the same time, your dad's looking over your shoulder for a time, right?
Yeah. No, we did. We did know the risk. I mean, we really honestly talked about the fact that are we willing to, as young guys, go into a business and not really take much money out of the business, to really be good to the business. My father gave us some really good advice all over the years, and he always said, be good to the business will be good to you, and don't be afraid to put back into the business. But, John Deere looked at us and said, can these guys really be happy working like this and not making a lot of money for a lot of years because there was going to be debt service and stuff? So we put our own money into it too, what money that we had. I mean, it really wasn't given. We had some help, but we also invested ourselves. So we knew right from the beginning, we felt the pressure of the business. And we knew that the only way we could really make this thing work is we did have to grow. And we had to grow it a lot, or it just was not going to be right for the two of us.
And we were young. I mean, yeah, we did know the gravity of the situation, but I think when you're 23 and 25, you're indestructible. You don't have a lot to lose because neither one of us was married. We didn't have mortgages. We felt a lot of pressure. Our parents gave us the loan to put down for a down payment, and we paid them back plus interest. And but we could have taken that money and we could have bought a couple Corvettes and skipped town, but we were given an opportunity. And I think my mom and dad actually probably took the most risk because they had that amount of confidence in us that we would work hard, and we did. I mean, we worked 7 days a week, 80 hours a week, and we worked hard. But looking back now, I mean, those were some fun times. We didn't have a lot of extras to spare, and we didn't have a lot of opportunity to make bad mistakes. But it was fun.
You ever seen on TikTok a fun game that people play where they ask a question? The two people will point to whoever they think is the person that's the answer, right? Yeah. So we're going to ask you the question, and whoever you think which brother is most likely to fit, you need to say that person's name. You might be saying your own name. You might be saying the name of your brother.
All right.
And you've got to answer on the countdown. Dan, question number 1.
Who is more likely to buy a piece of equipment than say, we'll find a use for it later?
3, 2, 1.
Tyler.
Really? Buy it now, we'll figure it out later? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Question number 2.
Who is more likely to say, don't worry, I know what I'm doing?
3, 2, 1.
Neither of you?
I get maybe both of us.
Maybe both of us.
But the question was more likely.
Yeah.
More likely.
More likely.
Let's try it again. 3, 2, 1.
Tyler.
Who is more likely to win the argument at work? 3, 2, 1.
I'd say both of us. We're very competitive.
But when you're arguing with each other, one person's got to win.
Somebody has to win.
Well, I don't know. We're brothers, first of all, we're brothers and then, business partners. And I think that, that really hits on something that is something that you have to establish right from the beginning. Yeah. We had to agree to disagree. Yeah. We've had some knockout dragouts, but
literally or figuratively?
Well, we have figuratively.
Okay.
but I know the question, but I honestly think that at the end of the day, we both really kind of say our sides and we really kind of talk it out. And I think when we walk away from the argument, I don't remember a lot of times where really one got the best of the other.
How long have you gone not talking to each other?
Maybe a couple days.
Yeah.
But does that count texting and emails or verbally?
I think all of any form of communication.
Any form of communication.
Oh, we've gone about a week or so. Probably,
We go.
But I mean, not when you're on vacation. There's an understandable difference. It's like Civil War, but it's not blue and gray. It's all green. See what I did there? And it's brother versus brother. And maybe you had a bit of an argument and then, okay, let's just cool it down. You don't talk to each other for...
We typically average, I'd say, a day because we work pretty much during the busy season 6 days a week. And then Sundays, he does his thing and I kind of do my thing.
But if you're asking if we've had an argument and there's a cool-off period... I'd say probably a day, but I don't remember, unless Mitch can tell me, I don't really remember a lot of arguments where we didn't go back and say, look, I maybe was a little wrong, and I understand your situation, but again, you just have to understand where I'm coming from. This is how and then he will say the same. And so I think at the end of the day, we both feel better about it.
I think there's some family-owned businesses in our part of the world that wish they had that level of confidence in their relationship with their siblings to be able to do what you just said.
Well, it's hard. I mean, when you're working together with your family, there's like a button over here that you can push that you can't push with anybody else, and it doesn't take 5 seconds to push that button because there is always emotions attached to it, and so that's very important. We had to learn to understand each other. Mitchell has tremendous strengths in certain parts of the business, and I'd like to think I have some in certain parts, and that's kind of his wheelhouse, and that's kind of my wheelhouse, and we try not to step on each other's shoes too much. And it's not that we don't talk to each other, and share our feelings, but I kind of stay out of the things that he does, and he kind of stays out of things I do.
Have you two always been like that?
No. we grew up.
Probably if 30 years ago, we'd be in a fist fight by now.
Oh, good. That was one of the questions we had.
It's fine.
Who would win the fist fight?
It was funny stories. Blood's thicker than water. We're 2.5 years apart, and we did everything together growing up with our friends. Everything. But man, he'd look at me the wrong way or vice versa, and we would just let it fly. We used to play a lot of pickup basketball games growing up. And then in high school, we'd have our friends. The next thing you know, he and I are swinging at each other, and our friends are trying to break us up, and they end up getting hit more than we got hit.
Who took more elbows to the face in the pickup basketball games?
We took a lot.
Did you? I took one, and that was the only cue I needed to not play pickup basketball with my brother ever again.
Yeah.
When you came to the Bangor market, was the Bangor market as welcoming as you had hoped?
I think the biggest challenge, I think Tyler touched upon it a little earlier, is we overestimated. We thought the John Deere name was going to set the place on fire. It's well known. At the time, I think it was one of the top 3 most recognized trademarks. And it just didn't happen that way. Business was really tough for the first couple of years, from 96 to 98. It was a grind. And I think looking back on it, there were a couple different John Deere dealers over the years. There was a gentleman that had it over in Wilson Street. There was an old John Deere dealership years ago. And then, like I said, M.L. Coffin had it on Broadway. And I think the customer base wanted to see if this new John Deere dealership was going to stick around and service what they sell. So it was a grind.
We learned a good lesson. Sometimes you get into business and you don't use short-term capital for long-term goal. And so we had a credit line like any business starting out, and we figured, we'll open up that Bangor store, and we're not going to borrow any money, and we'll use our short-term credit, and and get going, and because we're going to do the business, and this is going to be a no-brainer, and as it turned out, it was tough.
a big brainer.
It was a brainer.
We after 1 year being there, we did less business than the year before with 2 locations and extra people, and we were looking at each other like, wow. It's just, it's a seasonal business, right? So I can't, if it doesn't rain, the grass doesn't grow. If you don't have a lot of snow, you're not using tractors. The economy, it just, everything kind of played into place. And we had that first year, and we were looking at each other going, wow, I don't know, maybe we haven't done the right thing here. This is crazy.
Was there a sales side of the equation that helped buoy the service side? Maybe the service side buoyed the sales side through those tough times?
Yeah, I mean, there was one of the things that we did, and people don't know, but we took on the snowmobile line, the Ellsworth store. We were a Skidoo dealer, actually, Bombardier, I guess is the correct name. And we figured, hey, you're not going to mow grass in the wintertime, so the sleds would be something we could, generate some cash flow and be busy in the wintertime. So we did some things like that to try to supplement the business a little bit. But Bangor just didn't come like we thought it was. We just automatically thought, hey, we're open, we sell tractors, and they're coming to see us. And it really wasn't like that. It took us a while to get our foundation underneath us.
Was there a point where you said, we've just got to cut our losses? Bangor was a mistake.
We had quite a meeting with my father and Mitch and I. I'll never forget, I think it was over at the coach house, actually, over breakfast. And there was talk about, this is a mistake, this may not work. But we just felt that, if we cannot do this, then it's just not going to be viable as a whole for us. So there's really no going back. We've got to make this work.
The growth potential, the whole reason we got into the business with John Deere is number one, we wanted to nail down that opportunity to come to Bangor. They gave us that opportunity, and we knew we needed that opportunity to grow the business to where it would, accommodate both of us. We could eventually take more money and grow the business. So if that door shut, the Bangor market shut, there wasn't a lot of growth opportunity just out of Ellsworth, Maine, because 40% of our business at the time was in the Bangor community. Yeah, that was probably at the point of where we did a lot of self-reflecting and felt the pressure.
Were there glimmers of hope along the way, or did something change?
We had a couple different opportunities, It's a funny story. I always remembered this. I had a customer, he's passed away now, but I always looked up to him, was very successful. And he said to me one day, he says, you know what you need to be successful? And I said, what's that? He goes, well, you got to have a good product. You have to have a good location. You have to have good people. You got to have to work hard. There's no substitute for working hard. But even if you have or do all those things, you'll never be successful without this one element. And I said, well, what's that? He said, every now and then you got to have a little luck. You got to have a little luck. And looking back, he was absolutely right. And so we had a couple instances where we had a little luck, which really turned things around.
Can you tell us about that?
So we had that tough time. And so we really then started, like any business, started really focusing on the expenses. Looking at what we could cut and what we, where we could trim and where we become more efficient, which is hard because you've got to grow and you got to spend some money to grow. This really seems kind of crazy, but at the time when we bought the business, our our health insurance and our business insurance was through John Deere. They were in the insurance business as well. Oh. So they had Deere health insurance and we had Deere business insurance. So I decided to tear into that a little bit. Just to assume that, being a Deere dealer, we would renegotiate our health insurance, and it was quite a bit of savings. In a small business, it was quite a bit of savings. It was substantial. And then
we had a couple competitors that we competed with fiercely, and they went out of business, and that really opened up some opportunities to get some of those other customers. So
I tell you, we had some great fellow Deere dealers, even though we competed. And we had a dealer that I was friendly with that gave us some good advice, and we had a dealer in between us. I won't mention names, but that dealer was really making it tough on us, selling at a lower margin. And something happened and his business model didn't succeed. And so I found out, Mitch and I called that other dealer and said, hey, I just heard about X, Y, and he said, do me a favor, hang up the phone right now. He says, and you call John Deere right now and you tell him we're going to leave that market open. You and I can handle that market together. And, we can service that together, and that will give us more market share and give us a better opportunity. And so that was kind of a real big break right then.
Sure.
When we needed it.
Yeah.
You mentioned when you started in Ellsworth, John Deere wanted some, I'll call it an assurance from you that you would reach to the Bangor market. Was the deal that you'd reach for the Bangor market or you'd get into and stay in the Bangor market? At the time that you were at the coach house and you're thinking, geez, maybe we made a mistake, was there any pressure from John Deere to keep at it because you made us a promise to serve the market?
We didn't really have any communication with John Deere at the time. It was mostly internal between the three of us.
Was there ever a time that someone came to you now as an independent dealer and said, well, come under our umbrella now?
That's just happened, Rick. We're only one of two independent dealers now in the state of Maine.
Yeah.
For John Deere.
For John Deere. So consolidations and mergers and acquisitions has been something that's going on all over the country. It just has been slow to get to the state. So we got a call a few years back from Deere saying that, there's a larger dealer that wants to grow their business and would like to come up and explore the opportunity of purchasing some existing dealerships. Would you guys be open? Of course, at first, Mitch and I are like, what? At first you're a little bit taken back, but then, you realize this business is business and, you always listen to everything. Yeah. And so we listened and we just felt that the timing wasn't right for us and still isn't right for us. And we have a good, nice niche. We like doing what we're doing. We like to think we're still young. And so, but lo and behold, the dealer ended up purchasing the majority of all John Deere dealerships. And then even up through New England. So a little tougher now for us in some sense because, we're no longer, a two-store dealer back 25 years ago was a pretty good sized dealer.
Yeah.
A two-store dealer today we're probably a house account, so
yeah.
It's changed. The volume levels have changed. The goals have changed. But, we have a great little niche and, you can't beat service.
How does the team feel? How do your employees feel about we're still independent for us?
I think they had, this was back in 2019 when we were approached, and I think there was some apprehension on their part and waiting for the other foot to drop because it was a 4 or 5 year period and then a dealer sold out to them and then another dealer sold out to them. And, we would answer our people. If they asked us, we answered them directly and just said at the time, we like the business. We're too young to retire and too old to want to do anything else. And that's the truth. And love our people and love our customers and still enjoy getting up and going to work every day. Like doing what we're doing.
You say you love nothing more, but we hear that fly fishing is a thing.
Yeah, we like to fish once in a while. We're not very good at it. But
No, we're not.
The fish are winning.
Yeah, we caught more real flies last week than we did regular fish.
Where do you go?
We go up on the Rustic River. We go up into the Maine woods. We've been going for the last probably 10, 12 years with a bunch of friends. We go to an outpost cabin. You bring your own food, and but it's more about fellowship and hanging out and a little bit of fly fishing.
Does anyone catch anything?
Oh yeah, we caught some fish, but Mitch and I have gone salmon fishing a couple of times up in Canada.
Good, because fishing was one of the questions we had on our list for you.
We're not pros.
Who is more likely to catch the bigger fish when
Tyler.
fishing?
Okay,
Really?
I don't know.
Didn't even have to finish the
Well,
question.
he's the last couple of trips we've gone, he's actually caught the biggest fish the last 2 years. So maybe my luck will change. Who knows?
Who's more likely to tell the fishtail about the one that got away?
3,
So-
2, 1.
Didn't even have to count it down.
He supposedly caught the biggest fish he's ever seen in his life up on the canoe one year.
It was big. I saw on the Bangor Daily.
Big.
I'm telling you, I saw on the Bangor Daily where the guy found a fish that was stolen, I guess, his mount, and it's supposedly the biggest Atlantic salmon caught in the state of Maine. And I'm like, geez, that's not that big. The one I lost was twice the size.
The key is keeping it. You can't lose it. You got to keep it. Who is more likely to remember every customer's name, tractor, mower, dog, and driveway?
3.
Mitchell.
It's funny, sometimes I don't remember a customer's name, but I always remember what they bought. So when I see them, they come in and they come into my office, I'll look up LX 173, 1996, sold by me, number 1. That's my salesman number. And, hey, John, how you doing? Geez, you got a great memory.
Who's more likely to say, back when Dad was helping us get started, I remember 3, 2, 1.
Tyler, yeah.
More nostalgic in general?
Well, yeah, I'm older than Mitchell, and I work.
You don't look it.
No, thank you very much. I
No
appreciate that.
What should I say to that?
But I worked a lot with my father directly, and he was both our mentors. But I particularly worked a lot in the food business, and so I relied a lot on Dad over those years to help us. So not that we both don't think that way, but I probably.
It was a funny story. I remember when Dad, at the time, I was in junior high and Tyler was in high school, and Dad had a shortage of drivers. He lost 2 or 3 drivers that got done for some reason or whatever, and he just was up against it. So he ended up pulling Tyler out of high school and had Tyler drive truck for him that week, one of the delivery trucks, and he had to deliver food to Brewer High.
And so when you showed up, what was what are you doing? You should be in class.
Yeah.
Are there kids in the equation that are someday going to come up and do what Dad's doing?
I'm not sure. I got 3 daughters, and one's getting married in December.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I got 2 that are in college.
Financially and emotionally. Good luck with that.
Exactly. I got 2 kids in college, one getting married. So, yeah, I need a good season in business.
I've got 3 kids. I've got a daughter and 2 boys. Right now, it doesn't look like any of the kids are heading in that direction. They've all worked in the business, through high school or part-time jobs, but they all seem to be heading in their own directions a little bit. And I'd say Mitch and I probably haven't pushed them as hard to get into the business. And I don't know why that is, other than the fact that they seem to have some interest outside, and we've kind of encouraged that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got to find their own way.
They got to find their own way. Yeah, there's maybe 1 or 2 that may have the potential to come back.
You mentioned back in 1994, you weren't scared. You knew the risks. And then a few years later, let's say 97, 98, you were unsure about whether you did the right thing in Bangor. When did you start feeling, I don't want to say comfortable, because that almost implies that you weren't moving forward, but when did you start feeling like you were on the right path?
I think when we came to Bangor, we rented a building. It's Sunbelt Rentals now. That's the building. We rented it in 96, and then the gentleman sold the business, and the new owner / new landlord came in and said, you guys need to find a new home.
What year was that?
That was in 99.
99.
So coincidentally, I had a customer of mine, Billy Hughes, owned Hughes Construction at the time. He owned a couple buildings, him and his brother Paul, 2 up from us on Hammond Street. He had a building that was available, so we looked at it and had an opportunity to buy it, and it needed a lot of work, so we renovated it. And then in November of 99, that fall, we moved into that building, but the first week, it was almost like the business doubled. I think, they always say you build it, they will come. It was a new renovated building. It was bigger, better presentation. And really, that's 1999, that fall, and we had a real good winter, a lot of snow. It really, really took off right from there.
Some of that luck you were talking about.
Yeah, and we were in some of the other luck. We were able to bring on some real good quality lines. I mean, we saw a lot of outdoor power equipment. Pretty much anything you can think of, we have a line to offer, from wood splitters to whatever. But, we've got steel. We were able to acquire that line, steel chainsaws. And then we were able to become a Honda generator, water pump, lawnmower dealer. So we've been real fortunate to have those lines.
I think that we started finding our stride a little bit. When we bought this business, we knew business, but we didn't know anything really about outdoor power equipment. We're not the type of guys that are going to be out in the garage this weekend working on our cars or working on our tractors. But service is a big part of this business, technicians and mechanics. So we had a huge, huge learning curve. And Mitchell, when we went to Bangor, he was faced with kind of jumping into the sales part of it before he had really concentrated a lot on the service side of it. And so when he started, he really had to concentrate on the front of the part of the business, and then I had to obviously concentrate on the backside as well. So, we both kind of grew at that moment together. I think that helped us.
There was a struggle in Bangor for a time, and then you get told you can no longer be in the building you're in now. What made you not throw your hands up at that point?
Had no choice.
Just had to keep soldiering forward.
Had to get one foot in front of the other.
You probably had customers that were counting on you still being around when they needed you.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too, Dan, we had outgrown that facility, so we really were going to be faced with doing something. We just didn't think it would be so soon.
It just pushed you in the direction, to do what you had to do.
It did. And when you're in that situation, you're so invested at that point. You put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. You just got to keep plowing forward. And, as long as you have enough money to pay the bills, it doesn't really matter what you're making at that point. It's you have enough cash flow to sustain the business and keep going. And that's kind of what we strived for at that point.
By the way, we checked with our legal team before we got together with you, and we wanted to offer a clarification just for your personal edification, Tyler. You can get sued for punching your own brother. I just wanted to. That's true.
You know what I say to that situation? Because people ask us all the time. Yeah. He's never ever taken me in his whole life, but I haven't really tried him in 25 years. So, so I'm going to stick with my record.
Last two questions. Who's more likely to get in the truck, play something by the band Kiss, and turn it up to 11? 3, 2, 1.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Now here's your last question. What's the song? What's the song by the band Kiss that keeps you guys stoked for what you do at Greenway?
We're going to say rock and roll all night and party every day, right?
Yeah. Thanks for listening to The Rick and Dan Show. Next show, we're giving out free S&H green stamps. Ooh. If you like what you heard, don't suppose you'd click that subscribe button. And maybe leave us a review on your favorite listening platform. 5 stars are our favorite. And next time you hear someone say, "You can't get there from here," you tell them to listen to The Rick and Dan Show.